At 66, a man once called unstoppable now walks with a silence the world was never meant to hear. The cameras still chase him. The crowds still chant his name. Yet behind that famous smile, something breaks a little more each day. What agony is gripping him at 66? People whisper this question everywhere he goes. And if you look closely, really closely, try not to cry, because the truth hits harder than any opponent he ever faced. This is the same legend who ruled basketball like a storm. 5 championships, 3 MVP titles, the heartbeat of Showtime. A king who didn't just play the game, he changed its very pulse. On the court, he moved with electricity. Off the court, he carried the weight of battles no one could see. But now, at 66, the world senses a shadow trailing him. A shadow he never invited, yet one he can no longer outrun. His voice is softer, and the pain he hides is finally rising to the surface. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear explains everything. And before we begin, give this video a like, as a tribute to the legend himself. Magic Johnson's current reality. At 66. At 66, Magic Johnson stands in a place the world never expected to see him. People still see him as the smiling giant who made basketball feel like a celebration. But time has changed many things around him and inside him. Today, when he walks onto a stage or appears in an interview, his presence is still powerful, but the strength that once lit up entire arenas now carries a quiet heaviness. A heaviness that only a few truly understand. Magic wakes up each morning with a routine built around health, discipline, and careful balance. The man who once sprinted across the court with unbelievable speed now deals with slow mornings, stiff joints, and days when energy is harder to hold on to. His doctors keep a close eye on him. His schedule is lighter. His steps are slower. Age has entered his life in a way he once believed he could outrun. But the world doesn't see that part. Most fans still remember him as the unbeatable star, the MVP, the leader of Showtime, the smiling warrior who played every game like it was a gift. They treat him like a symbol, a legend, frozen in time. And yet, behind that legendary glow, Magic is facing the quiet truth of being 66. The truth that no crowd ever cheers for. He still attends charity events, speaks at schools, and helps communities through his foundation. His voice remains steady, warm, and full of hope. But if you look closely, the signs of wear are there in the way his shoulders lower, in the way he takes a deep breath before speaking, in the way he sometimes pauses as if choosing strength over comfort. Even during public events, there is a softness in him now, a softness built from memories, regrets, victories, and battles long fought. Magic has also become far more reflective. He talks more about life than basketball now. He talks about family, loss, forgiveness, fear, and the things he never had time to face during his career. Friends say he often sits quietly before interviews, thinking about his journey from a poor neighborhood to global fame, from a rising star to a man who survived something the world thought was impossible. At home, he spends more time with Cookie, his wife of over 30 years. Their bond has grown stronger with age. Magic relies on her more now for comfort, for support, and for the peace that comes from being understood. Their moments together are calm, simple, and filled with gratitude. It is a very different life from the young champion who once lived in the center of flashing cameras and screaming fans. But even in this calmer life, Magic carries a shadow from his past, a shadow that follows him everywhere he goes. The world knows he has lived with HIV for more than 3 decades, And while medicine has improved, the daily responsibility of staying healthy has never left him. Magic is disciplined, but it is not easy. His body is older. His immune system is not the same as a regular 6-year-old man. He has to monitor everything: food, sleep, stress, travel, and treatment. One mistake can affect him for weeks. In recent years, people have noticed changes. His face sometimes looks tired. His voice becomes softer at long events. His moves are slower. He sits more often during public appearances. These things may seem small, but they are signs of what he fights every day. The fight to stay strong, to stay present, to stay alive for the people he loves. Magic also carries the emotional weight of time. Many of the players he grew up with are gone. Some from age, some from sickness, and some from the same virus he once announced to the world in 1991. He often talks about missing them. He often talks about wishing he could go back, even for one day, to tell them things he never got the chance to say. He carries the burden of survival, the blessing, and the pain of still being here when so many did not make it. Yet, even at 66, Magic refuses to stop fighting. He continues working on business projects. He still supports young athletes. He still gives speeches full of hope. He still tries to make life better for others. But the truth is clear. Behind the smile is a journey filled with fear and courage. Behind the confidence is a tired body. Behind the legend is a man who has seen too much loss and lived through too much pain. For fans, it is hard to see him this way. It is hard to see time catching up to someone who once seemed unstoppable. It is hard to see a hero growing old. But this is the reality of Magic Johnson today. A 6-year-old fighter, still standing, still smiling, still carrying the weight of battles he never wanted but learned to face. And as he moves through these years with quiet strength, one thing becomes clear. His story is no longer just about basketball. It is about survival, courage, and finding light in the middle of shadows. NBA success. Before the world knew Magic Johnson as the man facing HIV, before the bright lights of fame settled over him, he was a force of nature on the basketball court. The moment he stepped into the NBA, it felt like destiny itself had shaped him. Tall, fast, fearless, he seemed unstoppable. Coaches marveled, and teammates trusted him with every play, every rebound, every impossible pass. Johnson became the heart of the Los Angeles Lakers' Showtime era, a team that danced down the court, thrilling the world with its energy, style, and sheer brilliance. His stats were breathtaking. 5 NBA championships, 3 MVP awards, 12 All-Star selections, and countless moments that would become legendary in basketball history. Every game, Magic commanded attention. Every game, he reminded the world why he was called Magic. But behind the dazzling smile, behind the incredible passes and unforgettable victories, there was a hidden burden few ever understood. The pressure to maintain perfection, to be the center of every fan's hope and every commentator's story, was immense. Every mistake, every missed shot, was amplified by an audience that demanded excellence. Magic carried this weight silently. The applause never made the loneliness disappear. The trophies never filled the empty hours after the crowd went home. He felt the world's eyes on him constantly, not just during games, but in life itself. Every decision, personal or professional, was scrutinized. Every victory, every smile, came with an invisible cost. Inside the locker room, Magic's charisma kept spirits high, but privately, he wrestled with insecurities and fears. What would happen if he faltered? What would happen if the world saw the man behind the legend? During his peak, his life was a whirlwind of games, interviews, and appearances. He met presidents, graced magazine covers, and shook hands with icons of every field. Yet, at night, when the lights faded, he often felt a quiet emptiness. It was a paradox. Adored by millions, yet isolated in ways only he could truly understand. Even more painful were the moments when his inner circle didn't understand. Friends, teammates, and even family sometimes treated him as invincible, forgetting he was human. That beneath the 6'9" frame and extraordinary talent was a man who felt, who doubted, who suffered. Magic learned to hide his struggles, to mask the pain behind charm, laughter, and charisma. The world saw Magic Johnson, the unstoppable hero. But very few saw the nights he lay awake, wondering if he was enough, wondering if he could carry the burden of expectation forever. The secret pain became even sharper when his life off the court collided with his fame. In the midst of his greatest victories, Magic faced personal challenges that he couldn't share. The constant pressure of being a public figure meant he couldn't stumble, couldn't show vulnerability, couldn't let anyone glimpse the cracks beneath the perfect exterior. Every season, every playoff, every championship game carried the weight of not just winning, but maintaining an image, a story of perfection that he had to embody. And yet, it was these very challenges that shaped him. The more he faced scrutiny, the stronger he became. The more he hid his pain, the more resilient he grew. Magic learned to channel his struggles into performance. Every fast break, every assist, every shot carried a little of the personal pain he refused to show. Fans cheered without knowing that each game was also a battle, a fight to maintain not just his career, but his very sense of self. His ability to perform under such pressure was nearly superhuman. Analysts, coaches, and even rival players marveled at how he could stay calm, think several moves ahead, and lift entire teams on his shoulders. But those who watched closely noticed something subtle. Behind the flashes of joy and the celebratory dances were moments of silent exhaustion. The world only celebrated the victories, never seeing the nights of doubt, the injuries ignored, the exhaustion endured in silence. And perhaps the cruelest part of all was that this pain, hidden behind fame and glory, began to shape his relationships. Magic had to balance loyalty to friends, family, teammates, and the millions who adored him. He had to give constant energy, attention, and love, while rarely receiving the same care in return. That tension gnawed at him quietly, a reminder that even heroes carry burdens unseen. Yet, even with this hidden pain, Magic's legacy on the court is unmatched. Every assist, every rebound, every dazzling play still echoes in arenas decades later. Young players study his moves. Coaches analyze his strategies. Fans replay his highlights endlessly. The world remembers Magic Johnson, not just for his skills, but for the energy, joy, and light he brought to every game. And all of that makes the secret pain he carried even more poignant. Magic's story reminds us that success often hides struggle. It shows us that even when life seems perfect from the outside, there are battles fought in silence. It is a reminder that every crown has a cost, and every applause hides a deeper story. The Showtime era, the championships, the MVP titles, they were real, undeniable, and legendary. But so was the pain behind the curtain, the secret fight that Magic Johnson carried while the world cheered. And today, looking back, we realize that the man who once dominated courts with magic moves also mastered something far harder: surviving the weight of expectation, hiding pain behind a smile, and continuing to shine even when the cost was invisible. Early career. Before the world knew him as the unstoppable force of the Lakers, Magic Johnson was a young man chasing a dream with nothing but raw talent and determination. Born Irvin Johnson Jr., he carried the nickname Magic long before NBA fans chanted it in packed arenas. His early years were filled with the thrill of basketball courts in Lansing, Michigan, where he first learned that hard work and heart could bend the rules of possibility. He dazzled with speed, vision, and creativity, weaving plays that seemed impossible. Coaches noticed, scouts took notes, and teammates looked up to him not just as a player, but as a spark of inspiration. Yet, even as he rose through high school and college, the path was never smooth. Life, it seemed, had lessons hidden in every triumph. Magic's father had passed away when he was young, leaving a gap that no success could fill. That absence was a quiet shadow behind every fast break, every jump shot. He pushed harder, ran faster, passed smarter, as if proving to the world and to himself that he could rise above loss. The world saw a bright, confident young star. Inside, Magic felt the weight of grief and expectation pressing on him every day. College was a stage where Magic shone even brighter. Leading Michigan State, he became a symbol of hope and talent. Fans cheered, rivals feared him, and his name began echoing far beyond Lansing. He was drafted first overall by the Los Angeles Lakers in 1979, and the dream of professional basketball was finally real. But even as the lights of the NBA bathed him in glory, tragedy was waiting, a silent reminder that life does not pause for victories. Reggie Lewis, a close friend and teammate from his early years, was gone before Magic could fully grasp the fragility of life. The news hit him like a punch to the chest. The young star who had always been told to stay strong, to focus, to win, suddenly faced a reality that no trophy could shield him from. The loss was a cruel contradiction to the joy he had known on courts filled with cheering fans. Magic realized that fame and skill could not protect those he loved from life's heartbreak. Despite the grief, Magic pressed on, carrying Reggie's memory into every practice and game. It was as if the weight of loss became a fuel that pushed him to new heights. Every pass, every basket, every assist became a tribute, a silent acknowledgement that even amidst pain, life demanded courage and perseverance. His early career was not just a story of talent, it was a story of resilience, of learning to channel heartbreak into purpose. The NBA itself was both exhilarating and unforgiving. Rookie seasons brought moments of triumph and the harsh reality of scrutiny. Opponents tried to exploit weaknesses, and fans and media often misread struggles as failure. But Magic, with a rare combination of physical skill and emotional intelligence, learned to navigate it all. He became not just a player, but a leader, a mentor, and a symbol of hope. The tragedy of losing Reggie taught him empathy, patience, and a quiet strength that statistics could never measure. Even at the height of early fame, Magic never forgot where he came from or the people he had lost. Family, friends, and teammates were anchors in a stormy sea of attention and expectation. Yet, the personal tragedies reminded him that life is fragile, that behind every highlight reel is a human story of struggle, loss, and courage. The young star who once soared over high school gyms now faced the NBA's bright lights and its emotional demands with a heart both strong and tender. The paradox of Magic Johnson's early career was that his rising stardom came with unexpected sorrow. Success brought applause, titles, and financial security. But it also exposed him to heartbreak, isolation, and the harsh realities of life. Each achievement was shadowed by memories of those he had lost, each celebration tempered by the silent knowledge that happiness is never permanent. Yet, it was in these moments of pain that Magic began to show the world why he was more than just a basketball player. His ability to rise, to inspire, to lead, and to shine despite personal tragedy became the hallmark of his legendary story. Reggie's death, and the heartbreak that followed, was not an end but a turning point, a moment that forged resilience, courage, and the emotional depth that would later define his life on and off the court. Magic Johnson's early career reminds us that heroes are not born from easy victories. They are forged in fire, tempered by loss, and elevated by the courage to continue even when the world seems too heavy. His story, filled with dazzling achievements and piercing sorrow, is a testament to the human spirit, the ability to rise, to lead, and to shine despite the shadows of tragedy. Even now, as fans look back on the young Magic stepping onto NBA courts for the first time, they are reminded that greatness is never without struggle. The cheers, the accolades, and the highlights are only one part of the story. The other part of the pain, the loss, the heartbreak, makes the triumphs even more extraordinary, and the man behind the legend unforgettable. Childhood trauma. Long before the bright lights of the NBA, before the deafening cheers and the glory of championships, Magic Johnson was just a boy growing up in Lansing, Michigan. But his childhood was far from easy. Life demanded lessons too early, and the world seemed determined to test his spirit. Poverty clung to his family like a shadow, limiting opportunities, creating fears, and shaping a young boy who would learn resilience before he could even fully understand it. Simple joys, like a meal on the table or a safe place to sleep. These struggles carved a toughness in Magic that would later define him on and off the court. But poverty was only the surface of the storm. Magic faced the sting of bullying from an early age. Larger kids mocked him for his size, for his dreams, for simply being different. Every insult, every shove, felt like a reminder that the world could be cruel and unfair. And yet, instead of breaking him, these moments sparked something deep inside, a determination to rise above, to turn every cruel word into motivation. The court became his refuge, a place where skill and creativity could outweigh the limitations of circumstance. Each dribble, each shot, each pass was a quiet rebellion against a world that had tried to hold him back. Racism was another harsh truth he had to navigate. Growing up in a society that judged him for his skin, Magic witnessed inequality, discrimination, and the unspoken barriers that sought to limit his dreams. Schools, neighborhoods, and even playgrounds carried subtle and not-so-subtle reminders that he was different in the eyes of others. These experiences shaped his empathy, his drive, and his understanding of life's fragility. They reminded him that success was not just about talent, it was about courage, perseverance, and a willingness to face challenges head-on. Family was both a source of love and a test of strength. The absence of his father left a hole that could never fully be filled. But his mother, through quiet guidance and unshakable faith, taught him resilience, patience, and humility. Every lesson she imparted, every sacrifice she made, became the foundation for a young boy who would one day inspire millions. Magic learned early that life could take away what we love most, but it could never take away determination, heart, or hope. Amidst poverty, bullying, and discrimination, basketball became more than just a game. It became a lifeline. On the worn-down courts of Lansing, Magic discovered freedom, control, and a sense of purpose. Every jump, every sprint, every pass was a small victory over the challenges surrounding him. The game allowed him to rewrite his story, to imagine a life beyond hardship, and as his skills grew, so did his confidence, proving to himself and to the world that he was more than circumstance. Yet, even in this early escape through basketball, tragedy lingered nearby. Life's lessons came in harsh waves, reminding Magic that joy and pain often arrive hand in hand. Friends and neighbors faced struggles, families were torn apart, and the fragility of childhood happiness became painfully clear. These early encounters with loss and hardship shaped the emotional depth that would later define him. Magic learned to carry pain quietly, to channel it into focus, and to transform suffering into strength. Magic's childhood trauma was not just about external struggles. It was about the internal battle, the emotional weight of fear, loss, and longing. Every achievement, every compliment, every moment of joy was tempered by the awareness that life could be fleeting, that happiness was fragile, and that resilience was essential. These early lessons in hardship taught him patience, perspective, and the ability to see beyond immediate pain. The combination of poverty, bullying, racism, and family struggles created a young man who was resilient, empathetic, and driven. Magic learned that true greatness is not only measured by talent or trophies, but by the ability to rise above circumstances, to transform adversity into motivation, and to inspire others through personal triumph. Every challenge he faced in childhood was a seed that would later grow into the courage, leadership, and vision that defined his legendary career. Even today, when fans watch Magic Johnson orchestrate plays, hear stories of his generosity, or see him speaking about his life, they witness the echoes of a boy who once faced a world that seemed determined to hold him back. Every assist, every smile, every act of kindness carries the imprint of hardship overcome, of a spirit tested and tempered in the fires of early life struggles. Magic Johnson's childhood reminds us that heroes are often forged long before the world notices. Pain, loss, and adversity were not obstacles to him. They were the very elements that shaped his character. They taught him to be strong, to be empathetic, and to lead with both skill and heart. The boy from Lansing, fighting poverty and prejudice, became the man whose courage, talent, and resilience would inspire millions, showing that the human spirit can shine brightest even in the darkest times. The Fall. In 1991, the world watched in stunned silence as a larger-than-life hero revealed a truth that no one expected. Magic Johnson, the man who had dazzled arenas with his effortless passes, fearless drives, and infectious smile, announced he was HIV positive. For millions, it was unimaginable. How could someone so strong, so vibrant, so full of life, face such a diagnosis? The news hit like a thunderclap, shocking fans, teammates, and an entire nation. Suddenly, the invincible hero seemed human, fragile, and painfully exposed. The announcement was more than a personal tragedy. It was a public revelation that carried weighty consequences. Fear, stigma, and ignorance about HIV surrounded him. People looked at him differently. Opportunities evaporated. Questions swirled in the media. And the world's gaze became both sympathetic and judgmental. Yet, in this moment of vulnerability, Magic showed courage unlike any he had displayed on the court. Standing before cameras, facing judgment and uncertainty, he refused to hide, refused to shrink, and refused to let fear dictate his story. This period marked a turning point, a fall from the pedestal of untouchable greatness into the raw, uncharted terrain of illness and public scrutiny. It was not just a battle with a virus. It was a battle with fear, discrimination, and the heavy weight of expectation. Friends and fans rallied, but Magic faced moments of loneliness that no cheer could fill. The disease tested him physically, yes, but the emotional and mental strain ran even deeper. The pressures he had once turned into triumph now demanded a resilience far beyond athletic skill. Yet, even in this darkest hour, Magic Johnson's character shone. He became a voice for awareness, a symbol of courage, and a beacon of hope for millions living with HIV. He turned personal tragedy into advocacy, using his platform to educate, to fight stigma, and to demonstrate that life could continue, even thrive, after diagnosis. His fall became a lesson. Greatness is not only measured by victories and records, but by how one faces adversity, bears truth, and uplifts others despite personal pain. The announcement was heartbreaking, yes, but it was also transformative. Magic Johnson redefined what it meant to be a hero, proving that vulnerability, honesty, and resilience could inspire as much as athletic brilliance. At 66, as we look back on this defining moment, it is impossible not to feel the weight of his journey, from the heights of glory to the depths of fear, and back again to a life of purpose and inspiration. Try not to cry when you see the story of Magic's fall, because it is a reminder that even heroes face battles that test the very core of their spirit. At 66, Magic Johnson carries the weight of a lifetime filled with victories and wounds. His smile still shines, but behind it lives the story of a man who fought through poverty, grief, fame, pressure, illness, and judgment, and still stands tall. When people see him today, they see slower steps, softer eyes, and a quiet strength shaped by decades of battles. But they also see something else, a survivor who refused to be defeated, even when the world turned against him. His journey shows that legends are not made from glory alone. They are made from the storms they survive. If his story touched your heart, don't leave without hitting the like button. If you learned something new today, make sure to subscribe for more powerful stories. And tell us in the comments, which part of Magic Johnson's journey moved you the most? His life is more than basketball. It is a reminder that even heroes bleed. And even at 66, Magic still shines through the darkness.